my screen. Okay. So first of all, before starting, who has ever organized an open house? Let me see the audience. Have you ever organized an open house before? No one. Great. Laurie, okay. So you will help me, Laurie, with some additional information. So today we're going to talk about how to organize an open house. And let's start. As you may know, the club is a living system. Sometimes we know a period of growth. Everything is going good. Everything is right. We feel enthusiastic. There is a huge dynamic in the club. Sometimes we feel sort of stagnation. The club is monotonous and nothing is stimulating enough. And then sometimes we feel regression, that club is at risk. And if we don't react, it may close. So the club, all the clubs are living one of these three states. Why do we stagnate or regress? Many reasons lie behind this. Sometimes there are members turnover. Some members quit. Some members are changed the city. Some members don't want to dedicate more time and effort to the club because they have other priorities. There are a lot of reasons for members to quit a Toastmasters club. Another reason is that we have a lot of members, but a huge part of them are passive members. So they don't come, they don't participate, they don't take roles. Another reason is that really the club is got in the trap of the monotony. So we need new blood, we need new members, new dynamic, new atmosphere, new ideas, new speeches, okay? And sometimes we run less than 20 members. And as you may know, the rule in Toastmasters that any club should not run with less than 20 members. So we should definitely have at least 20 members in our clubs. So the solution to these kind of situations is to organize an open house. This open house is a special event when we try to recruit new members, because as Toastmasters Club, we should be resilient. We should try to fix our problems, try to recover or adjust easily to misfortune or change. We should not stay and as a spectator, we should react by organizing an open house. So how can we organize a successful open house? I will give you some insights. So we are going to talk about 4 parts. The first part is planification. The second part is communication. The third part is organization. And the fourth part is the follow-up. So the first part, the planification. First of all, we should have an organizing committee. To organize an open house, it's not a piece of cake. It requires a lot of effort. So we have to form an organizing committee. The organizing committee should at least be comprised of these members: presidents, the officers, president, vice president membership, public relations, vice president education, treasurer, and secretary, and other members that we are going to talk about them later. So at least the officers. And when we nominate the organizing committee, now it's time to choose the best date and the best venue that can receive our guests. The venue should be really accessible and should be wide enough or large enough to contain all the guests, especially that the main goal of an open house is to gather as much guests as possible. So the venue should not be a small venue. Is that clear? The venue should not be a small one, because the aim of the open house is to gather more people. So we fixed the date. We started looking for the venue. If we don't find the right venue at that date, we can change the date if we find a better venue at another date. So we can be flexible. So when we have the date and when we book the venue, now the work will start. Now it's time to work on the agenda. So some clubs choose to organize a demonstration meeting during the open house. Some clubs not. For me, in all the open houses I organize, I don't hold a demonstration meeting during the open house because it takes a lot of time, and the duration, the optimal duration of an open house is 1.5 hours. And it should be light, it should be funny, and it should give more opportunity to the audience to ask questions, to interact with the club officers. So for me, this is the agenda that I work with in every open house. So I started with an opening speech of the presidents, of the club presidents. It opens the event with an opening speech. Then we talk about what is Toastmaster. We explain to the audience what is Toastmaster. For that reason, for example, we can use this presentation. So who we are, for example, Toastmasters internationally is a non-profit educational organization that teaches public speaking, leadership skills, etc. We explain that we are a worldwide network of clubs. And as you may see here, only the gray spots, or only the gray spots where we cannot find any Toastmasters club, which means that almost in every corner in the world we will find the Toastmasters club. So the number of countries, the number of members, the number of clubs, and then we explain our mission, our values, how everyone will benefit from joining the Toastmasters club. Toastmasters in the media, the most famous magazine that talked about the magic or the benefits of joining Toastmasters. It's really one of the best ways to convince people to join Toastmasters club is to show them how, for example, Forbes, Inc. or The Guardian talked about Toastmasters. And then we conclude. Okay, the second point is the Toastmasters club experience. So here we explain how we hold our meetings. So here we have a video on YouTube that explains how the meetings were held in all the meeting roles with every detail. So it's really an amazing video. By projecting it, the audience will have a clear idea about what happens in every Toastmasters club meeting. So we project this video and we let the audience watch it, and then we give a small summary about the video. Okay, we give a small summary about the video because sometimes it's better to diversify the way we convey information. Sometimes we use presentations, sometimes let's use some videos just to not be monotonous during the open house. And then after the Toastmasters club experience, we do a presentation about the Toastmasters education program. So we try to explain the pathways. And at that point, we should be very brief because based on my experience, if we want to explain in detail pathways, the presentation becomes boring. So we give just a few examples, a few information about the pathways. So here we have, for example, a presentation about pathways. Okay, so the 4 pillars of education Toastmasters we have here: experiential learning, self-paced learning, peer feedback, mentoring. The pathways program, here are the 5 core competencies that pathways focus on: the benefits of pathways, the several pathways, how to choose a pathway, and an example of pathway. Okay, and an example of the certification we get at the end of every pathway. So we started with the presentation of what is Toastmaster, then we projected a video about the Toastmasters Club experience, then now we do a presentation about the pathways, the Toastmasters education program. And then we called some members to give some testimonials, because in a pathway, in an open house, we should spice it up with some emotion. So the best way to do that is to call some old and new members to give some testimonials about how Toastmaster changed their life or improved their public speaking. So this part is very important. It's better to organize it well and choose the best members that can give the best testimonials. And then we explain how to join Toastmasters. And at that point, we can give some insight about your club, to talk about your club. When do you meet? When it was created, some pictures of your club, what is unique about your club, everything that can attract the audience to your club. You explain it here, and then you explain how to join. For those who are eager now to join your club, after all this explanation, you should give them the way, how. And then you open a Q&A session. You give the audience the opportunity to ask some questions. So I will give you here an example of the agenda that we work with. So here is the Excel sheet that we have. So the time, what, who, tools to be used, the duration of every session, and the timing rules, because we should respect time. As a Toastmaster, we should respect time. So every session is timed. So at every session we have, so for example, what is Toastmaster? Who? A club member. For the Toastmaster club experience, who will explain it? Club member, for example. And he will use a video and a PowerPoint to summarize the meeting rules. What is pathways? The best one to do it is Vice President Education. So, and the program is very detailed so that we can start on time and end on time. So the closing speech of the president should be a very powerful closing speech and a call to action. He should call people to join the club. Okay, so you can use this Excel sheet to keep tracking of your time and the session you organized. So let's move on. So for the communication, we should start communicating about the open house at least 1 week before. We should use social media, club's website if you have any, Eventbrite, and you should call the club members, your club members, to invite their friends and family members. We usually do it, we make a challenge. Every member should bring at least one guest. Every member should bring at least one guest. For the communication in social media, I think one of the best ways to promote the event for example, in Eloquent Leaders Toastmasters Club, we usually promote the open house by preparing a video with a script pronounced by many members of the club. starting with the president. The first part of the script is pronounced by the president, and then every part of the script is pronounced by a different member. And the video is very dynamic. And the aim of the video is to show the people, some members of the club, the energy of the club, and call them with the real voice to attend the event. So one of the best way to promote it is to make a video. And then sometimes also we pay for a campaign on Facebook. We pay a campaign, communication campaign on Facebook, just to spread the word and maximize the chance of having a huge number of guests. So that is the point for communication. Then for the organization, we should have a Toastmaster of the event, the animator. It is one of the crucial roles in the open house. We should definitely have a Toastmaster of the event who is dynamic, enthusiastic, who is confident, who can show how Toastmasters can help people gain more confidence. And we should have speakers. As I said, for every session, there is a speaker. What is Toastmaster? A speaker should take into charge this part. What is pathways? The best one to take into charge this part is Vice President Education to explain pathways. So we should have speakers, and we should have reception committee. The reception committee take into charge the reception of guests, welcoming them, giving them the name tag, giving them a sheet to fill out their names, phone, and email, to use that for the follow-up after the event, and help all the guests feel welcomed. The technical team, it deals with all what it is related to laptop installation, projectors, and sound, if you have sound material, and all the stuff. So, the main points that can make or break an open house. The open house is a show. So all the events should be well organized, and it should be a show. The guests should feel that this club is really a family. There is a lot of good relationship, a lot of love, a lot of enthusiasm, a lot of dynamic, a lot of good things in that club. So all members should show enthusiasm, happiness, joy, and a lot of warm feelings. People like when they see club members are in good mood, are happy, are welcoming, are warm. So the open house should be a real show. Every detail should be dealt with a lot of attention. The first impression is very important. As I said, so the reception committee should make a huge effort to have a good first impression with the audience. So every detail at the first minutes of having guests, from the welcoming, from the smile, from the accompanying the guests to have a seat, all the details should be took into consideration. So the first impression is good, because we only have one chance to make a good first impression. The Toastmaster of the event is the star of the event. If the Toastmaster is in a good shape, is in a good mood, is professional, is dynamic, is enthusiastic, all the event is going smoothly. If the Toastmaster is not in his day, actually the open house is not run very smoothly. So the Toastmaster should be well prepared. And the speakers in every session should show enthusiasm, should show fun and confidence, because that is what is very important besides the information you convey through your message. And we should take care that we don't overload audience with a lot of information, because overloading people with a lot of information make them feel that is a bad experience, not a funny experience. So we should just give enough information and a lot of fun, a lot of enthusiasm, and a lot of dynamic during all the events, so that people will feel comfortable during all the events. And at the end of the event, we should not forget the follow-up. At the end of the event, there are two scenarios. We distribute the membership form. The vice president membership distribute the membership forms for the audience. People who are ready on the spot to be a member fill out this form and maybe pay their membership on the spot or later. Some people are needs more time to be convinced. So in that case, the vice president membership should invite them to the next meeting so that they can experiment more the Toastmasters recipe, and they can be reassured that this is the best place to learn how to be a good public speaker and leader. So for those people who still didn't manage themselves, didn't made up their mind to be Toastmaster, we should follow them up by email. So we should thank them by email for having participated in the open house and inviting them to the next meeting and sending them all the necessary documents about Toastmaster, about your club and about Toastmaster. And there are a lot of documents that you can send, and you can find them in the resources library in the website. And at the end, there are two key performance indicators that may measure the success of your open house: the number of attendees and the conversion rate. The conversion rate is the number of audience that turned into club members. So the open house, as I said, is not a piece of cake. It needs a lot of work because, as I said, it should be a show. Every detail should be took into consideration with a lot of attention. All the speakers should be well prepared and show enthusiasm, dynamic, and confidence. And the guests should be very welcomed and feel in safe environment, and encourage them to, by seeing the examples in front of them, and encourage them to be a member of your club. So that's all for my presentation. If you have any question, feel free to ask. It's a brief presentation. I hope that it was fruitful for you. Thank you.
Thank you, dear Samir Chaqri. Thank you very much for the great workshop. Are there any questions to Samir?
So I think if you don't have any question,